Everybody loves John Wick movies. My favorite part, of course, are the shootouts that happen in the Continental, more specifically in Winston's safe room. When I had a client approach me about theming out his safe room, it was a no-brainer for me. Of course, I'm gonna do the Continental again. I like to start off old school, and I'll grab my crayons, my pencils, and I'll just start shaping things out, getting the proportions correctly to fit inside the parameters that I'm given for this room. This is a real safe door for real emergencies, fire, a break-in, anything. It has to be bulletproof, literally. I can take the time and actually make the mechanisms, make everything and water jet it out or CNC it out and make it function. Or maybe I just buy one off Amazon. Obviously, I can't just use a black door. There's no character to it. So I begin laying out my MDF, getting the shapes correct, the sizes right, all the holes where they have to go. Then I will proceed to laminate with metal over top of my parts and cut those out so everything has a thin layer of real metal. When you touch it, it's cold. When you feel it, you can feel the texture of metal. It's totally tricks the eye, and if you lick it, you get that sting like you did when you used to lick pennies. After that, I would then begin to prep all the sides. Now, it has to look like a cast safe, and a lot of times what they do to protect all of that is they use a chemical called Zolatone. That gives the hammered look that you see on your gun cases, your safes, your different aspects like that. It's a spray-on component. You can replicate that just by using hammered paint. It's a roll-on application and it looks great. That's just for the base. After that, I'll use a drop black, which is dead black flat, and it really creates this depth, and you can't see it unless there's a texture on it. Hence the hammered paint. The door in the movie also has these large rivets. I started by taking a piece of round stock, putting that into the bandsaw and just chopping. Once I had enough, I put them into the lathe, turned it to just put a chamfer on the edge, and then drilled and tapped the end of that at a 1/4-20 so it could receive it into the door. And this thing is already looking beefier. Beep, 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 boop. Keypad. Your standard issued off-the-shelf keypad looks too futuristic, too modern to be something like Winston would have. If he hired somebody, what would it look like? I'm picturing something from the 1940s, like maybe some brass, some pearl inlay. So I would cut up parts and pieces and get it ready to 3D print. The 3D printing process is simply just proof of concept. See if it actually is going to work, how small the pieces are. And it also helps to show any potential problems, which I'm glad I did, because it allowed me to see the design flaws. The numbers inside the sockets were able to spin freely. So numbers spinning means my 6 now becomes a 9. The 4 kind of falls on the side. It doesn't look good. It was a real easy fix. I was able to put a notch in the base plate and a ridge on the back side of the number. So they were locked into their positions and they're not going anywhere. No. Then it's off to the lathe, where I used real brass to turn down the real parts and pieces, as well as used the laser to cut out the pearl and create an inlay for the black paint to go into the thing. Now that the keypad's done, it feels better, it looks better, it now fits into this John Wick world. The thing used to open up Winston's door, the Turny thing. I think that's what it's actually called. I've recognized this. I've actually used this before on other projects. The only problem is it's not real, but they are a lot of fun. On a movie set, it doesn't have to be real. Mine has to actually function as a locking mechanism in a real safe room. Doing a lot of research and seeing it in a bunch of different shots, it almost looks like a boat steering wheel. So boom, Amazon. Next day, steering wheel. Put it on. Nope. Not gonna work. But you know what it did work on? My son's Jeep, so he took it. I realized the only way I was gonna be able to pull off a real John Wick Safe door was to make it. So I bought some aluminum stock, 2 inches by 14-inch diameter. I did a little CAD work, beep, beep, boop, beep, and then sent it off to my CNC machine and just let that thing run and run and run. So now I have a real, authentic John Wick Turny thing. Let's go to the inside of the door. The inside of the door has a handle that starts at 9 o'clock and goes down to 6 o'clock. So I have to change that around because Winston's door starts at 12 and then turns to 9 o'clock. So when I'm making the handle, I wanted it to be beefy, a nice handle. So I'm off to the lathe. I had a design idea in my mind. Actually, it's the John Wick door handle design, but I knew how I was going to make it in the different parts because one has to slide into the other and then this has to lock everything together, as well as reverse engineer how everything is going to come together because it's on a safe door and it has to go in certain steps so you don't see any seams or any screws or anything. The door is really coming together, but I need a way to control all the lighting in the room. So I designed and built a switch plate that goes in the casing of the door. In order to match the other handles in the room, I went with the brass knurled knob. The way these knobs function, it's a click and a twist, so it can dim, but that feeling of grabbing something cold, twisting it, that texture, click, and then it lights up the room. For the switch plate itself, I went with the black acrylic. You peel that paper off, it's shiny, glossy, beautiful. It's so much more depth added to those switches, and that black is really gonna bring out the other items that he's putting into this room. So when I take the switch plate to the job site and I'm setting everything up, and you know, people come by, they wanna check and see how it's going. This incredible trim carpenter, I've worked with her several times, Timberly. She says, boy, you really missed it. You should have used Desert Eagle shells. Of course! So now I'm gonna change everything and put the Desert Eagle shells on there because you have to. Keypad's done. Rivets on the door. Turny thing on the door. Next thing, install. That means get ready for nothing to go as you planned. You always hope everybody's measurements line up. Everybody had their tape measure calibrated to the same, but that's never the case. You can build something inside the vacuum of a computer and it works great. But once you bring that into reality, there are so many little factors that add up into a million little problems at once. There's humidity, there's human error. There are so many things outside of anybody's control, so you always have to be ready to adapt. And once we get there, we notice the door fit a little too well. Meaning any irregularity in the CMU, that's your cinder block wall, 1/8 of an inch off on this block and this block, a little tight, a little big, a little tight, but we did find out if you go fast enough, it will fit. We drill in the sides, run our red heads in, and Bob's your uncle. The door's in, completely finished. It looks beautiful. And then I removed the keypad. Now no one's getting in there except for me. I'm rounding third. I'm almost finished. I don't want the homeowner to see it until it is 100% done, which should be next week, which means the next video that we upload will be a breakdown of the entire John Wick room. So make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on what's behind this door. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next month.